Sali, hoi zusammen und grüezi miteinander. Welcome to the 16th edition of the Swiss German Initiative. My name is Fabian. Before we begin, as usual, some administrative information. And to appease the YouTube algorithm, please leave a like and subscribe. Well, you know the drill. Get in contact via Reddit, and the link for the Discord is in the description. If you're a beginner and speak absolutely no Swiss German, please learn the language sections from the prior episodes so that we can get through them and build up from there. So, Alex, get in contact with me as soon as you feel comfortable with those segments so we have a place to start. With today's episode, the material is going to be a little bit different. Usually, I only use AI to give me examples and to check the correct naming. But with today's episode, I used a new feature. I'm sorry, I don't know the name from it, but you can create presentations from Google searches itself. And as usual, it's about 70 or 80% correct. So it has, a lot of errors. And therefore, I hope I didn't overlook any errors and corrected everything. So let's begin. So we have Relativsätze mit präpositionalem Split. The syntax is as follows. It's the noun followed by wo, then the subject, object, the preposition, and then the verb. When do you use this? You use this whenever you want to describe an object in detail using a preposition, like the car I'm driving in. In Swiss German, we don't use compound words like womit or worauf. We split the logic to keep the sentence moving forward naturally, focusing on the object first and then the relationship second. So the rule is place wo immediately after the noun, then push the preposition to the end of the clause, right before the verb, with the or with a the or dr prefix. So let's get through them. So der Tisch, the table, auf dem es steht, on which it's resting or standing. In Swiss German, wo's Glas drauf steht. Then das Thema, the topic, über das wir reden, wo mir drüber redet. Die Frau, woman, von der ich erzähle, wo ich davon erzähle. And here you can cut out the R. You can say verzähle or verzähle, but I usually just use verzähl. Das Haus, so the house, in dem wir wohnen, wo wir drin wohnen. Der Job, für den ich arbeite, wo ich dafür arbeite. Now, this doesn't really make so much sense because you wouldn't say it like that. You would say you work for an employer and not for a job. But it's the Google examples. Then, Schule, the school, zu der ich gehöre, wo ich dazu gehöre. Here again, you wouldn't say in Swiss German you belong to a school. You would say you go to a school or the school that you're at. So, die Schule, wo ich hingehe, oder die Schule, wo ich besuche, so forth. Now, but it's correct. So, the sentence would be correct, but you wouldn't use it that way. Wand, the wall, an der es hängt. So, where it is hanging or it's placed there. In this context, the picture. Wo's Bild dran hängt. And two special cases because although they are kind of correct, you wouldn't use that for or this sentence form because it already implies that I say that you're at it. So, der See, the lake, bei dem wir sitzen. Wo wir, the be, you wouldn't use that, you would say, wo wir sitzen. Oder wo wir gerade das Feuerchen am machen sind, or something like that. You don't have to say that you're next to it, because it already implies it. You would say, if you're swimming, you would say you're in it, but you're not at it. So, this sounds weird in Swiss German. Das Auto, the car, mit dem ich fahre, with which I'm driving, wo ich damit fahre. Now here as well, you could say wo ich damit fahre because I say that you can use that word. It doesn't really sound that strange, but usually it gets shortened. Das Auto, wo ich fahre. You don't have to say that you're driving with it because it already implies you're driving with it. Next one would be konjunktionale Pronomen inclusive. So, really difficult way to say that you will do something. So, here we have when it's used, or the explanation when it is used in almost every sentence that explains a reason, because. This fusion is the speech secret of native speakers. Instead of separate words, the conjunction and pronoun become one unit to maintain the melodic, fast-paced flow without choppy pause. Now, I wouldn't call Swiss German melodic, but yeah, it's true. And the rule for it is the conjunction will, because, glues itself to the subject pronoun, often dropping vowels to create a single phonetic unit. So let's get through them. One thing that you have to keep in mind that you don't glue them if you want to emphasize who. Else you will glue it. So the first one, will ich, so will ich heute müde bin. If you want to emphasize that it's you, it's will ich heute müde bin, and not will ich heute müde bin. But in this case, it doesn't really make a big difference. But in cases where it makes a difference who did it, you could or you will emphasize it to show, yeah, he did it or I did it, and so forth. So like at through it. So will du, it's wild. Will it's willer. Will sie, kinda remains. It's not will sie, will sie. Then will es, so wills. Will mer. Here is yeah, Wilmer works, but you have a tiny gap. Wilmer, Wilder. Oh, that's wrong, and I haven't corrected it, but I say I'm a little bit too late to correct it now. Will ihr, Willer, not will der. So that's wrong. Sorry for that. I haven't seen it prior to this. Then we have will sie, plural, remains. It's not will sie. It's the same as with sie singular, so feminine singular, third person. And the last two, auxiliary and modal. It seems like you put it in because I told the AI to give me always 10 examples. So, will ich nicht haben wollen and will er nicht muss. So the next will be erweiterte Konjunktionsmuster. Das, wenn. The explanation is used when connecting thoughts with that or setting conditions with if, when. It follows the same glue logic as will, ensuring that complex subclasses don't slow down your overall speech rhythm. The rule is apply the same phonetic fusion pattern to das, that, and wenn, if, when, as you do with will. So you have das I, so das ich, dass ich nicht vergiss, dass ich nicht mache, dass ich nicht whatever. Dann das du, dass du heute kommst, dass du heute noch etwas isst und so fort. Das so dass er das macht, dass er dann kommt, dass er zulässt, so forth. Then we have does sie. Here you don't glue because does he sounds weird and you don't recognize that it meant does sie. Because with the other one, does e, does and so forth, it works with the pronunciation, but does sie, you need the gap. So, dass sie nichts merkt, dass sie heute kommt, dass sie das gemacht hat, so forth. Dass man, here you can, but you don't have to. So you can say dass man or dass man. It works in both ways. Dass man heute gönnt, dass man nichts merkt, and so forth. Then we have the wenn fusion. Wenn ich, wenn ich, wenn ich das gewusst hätte, wenn du Lust hast, wenn er lacht, wenn sie kommt. It's not wenn sie, it's wenn sie. And the last one again, wenn wir. Works both ways. It's always the same rule for gluing the words together. Then we have the syntaktische Kombination im Nebensatz. So again, here with the explanation, the one why. This is the ultimate native check. It's used when you are giving a reason for an action while simultaneously describing a specific detail of an object. Mastering this allows you to speak fluidly without reverting to standard German structures. The rule is integrate both the spatial split from part 1 and the pronoun fusion from parts 2 and 3 within a single subclass structure. So we have, das ist das Haus, wo ich drin wohne, will ich dort arbeiten. Now the sentence makes absolutely no sense, but I say, yeah, it's for demonstration purposes. So, yeah, next one. Das Auto, wo du damit fahrst, again, here, the damit is optional. Das Auto, wo du fahrst, works as well. Ist neu, weil du viel Geld hast. So the car with which you are driving is new because you have a lot of money. Next one. Das Lied, wo danach sucht, ist alt, weil es gern hat. This structure makes no sense at all, but again, demonstration purposes. So the song, who he is searching, is old because he likes it. And here as well, you can strip away the dena because it works as well. Das Lied, wo sucht. You don't have to say that he's searching for it. He's in Swiss German, you simply can say the song he's searching. Now, dena can have two meanings. One is from the German nachdem, just I say shuffled around. So instead of nachdem, it's den nach, but it's the same word. But there is also the expression dena Lüt, which means people of a certain kind. So dena can mean of a certain kind or nachdem. Excuse me. Then we have Schule, wo sie dazu gehört. Again, dazu, you wouldn't say somebody belongs to a school, somebody goes to a school in Swiss German or attends a school or so forth. Ist gut, weil sie viel lehrt. So, the school which she belonged to is good because she learns a lot. Der Tisch, wo das Glas drauf steht, ist hölzig, weil es schön ist. The table on which the glass is standing is wooden because it's nice or looks nice. Next one. Die Wand, wo das Bild dran hängt, ist weiss, weil wir es so haben. The wall, where the picture is hanging, is white because we have it like this. Das Thema, or next one, das Thema, wo wir drüber reden, ist wichtig, dass wir es alle verstehen. Finally, a sentence that you actually would use. So the topic on which we are talking is important so that we all understand it. Die Firma, wo ich dafür arbeite, macht Spaß, wenn ich Zeit habe. Again, this sentence makes no sense. The company for which I'm working makes or is enjoyable if I have time. Now, in English, this doesn't really sound that bad, but in Swiss German, this is it sounds a bit like a word salad. But again, it's because it's for the syntax, it's not the meaning of the sentence itself. Die Frau, wo ich davon erzähle, ist meine Mutter, das du weisst. So, the woman of which I'm talking of is my mother, so that you know it. And the last one, the See, wo wir sitzen, or dabei sitzen, dran sitzen. This doesn't work with sea, with lake, because as I said prior, you don't specify that you're sitting next to it. You simply say the sea where I'm at, the lake where I'm at. Ist kalt, wenn sie ins Wasser geht. So, the lake where we are sitting is cold if she goes to the water or into the water. Yeah, I think AI doesn't really understand the meaning of those sentences, but for demonstration purposes, it works. Those aren't really meaningful sentences, but at least they are correct in for the syntax. Then we have Modalverben im Nebensatz. Now here the case is that you can't say it exactly the same as in German. So you have the main verb in the infinitive plus the modal verb, so the conjugate one. But Swiss German, depending on the case, turns it around. So we have können, can, will ich das nicht machen kann. Or you can say, will ich das nicht kann machen. Here it's exactly the same. Now, the next example, muss, so must, will heute schaffen muss. Will heute muss schaffen. Now, I would use the muss schaffen rather than the schaffen muss, but again, both work, but simply the muss schaffen sounds a little bit more fluid for my ears, but I could be wrong on that one. Then, sollen, so should, dass sie das machen sollen. Or, dass sie das sollen machen. Next one is dürfen, so being allowed. And here the difference is actually if it's in a, let's say, if the sentence is by itself or if there is an additional explanation. Wenn du nicht kommen darfst, I would rather use that if an additional, wenn du nicht kommen darfst, weil du zu spät bist, weil whatever. And the other one is simply if you, wenn du nicht darfst kommen, it means that you're simply not allowed to come. But again, it could be used interchangeable and the meaning is the same. Then we have wollen, want. Will ich nicht kommen will, will ich nicht will kommen. Here again, it sounds more fluid with will kommen than kommen will. And if you give an additional like explanation, will ich nicht kommen will, and so forth. So, will ich nicht kommen, weil es mir zu spät ist, or so forth. You rather use the first one else the second one. But this is more preference than an actual rule. Then we have perfect tense and modal. Will nicht hat können kommen. Kommen können. You see here, I even did read it wrong because I would simply use the second case and not the first one, but they are interchangeable. Then we have the future logic. Dass wir nicht müssen gehen, or gehen müssen, exactly the same. Instructional. Dass du das lesen musst, or dass du das musst lesen. Again, if it's with an additional explanation, I would use the first one. If it's simply by itself, it's musst lesen rather than lesen musst. But it's the same. Possibility, wenn das verstehen kannst, or wenn das kannst verstehen. The second one sounds for my ears better, but they both work. So I'm not sure if there is even a different rule for that. And then we have the permission. Weil sie nicht draussen bleiben dürfen. Weil sie nicht dürfen draussen bleiben. Again, works both ways, and I heard both. So yeah, not really a difference there. Then we have Modalverben im Nebensatz. So we have the explanation when why. Used whenever you need to express possession, belonging, i.e., my friend's car. Since Swiss German has no genitive case, this is the only correct way to show ownership without sounding like you're reading a textbook. Damn, this flowery language from the AI is funny. The rule for it is use the preposition von, Swiss German vo, followed by the dative case or a possessive pronoun construction. So we have noun plus vo and the dative object. Der Hut von meinem Bruder. Das Auto von meinem Vater. Das Buch vom Bub. Die Jacke vom Mann. Die Schwester vom Mädli. Der Schlüssel von der Frau, or simply die Schlüssel von der Frau. If it's this key, it's der Schlüssel. If it's a key, it's die Schlüssel, or the keys, excuse me. Das Haus von der Eltern. Das Velo von meiner Freundin. Der Name vom Hund. And last one, Farbe vom Tisch. So with this, we are at the end of the presentation. I hope you liked the flowery language of, of Google AI. If I had more time, I would rewrite the whole text from it. But I thought I use this for once. Let's see how it works and how good I actually can follow through with it. As always, if you have questions, simply post them here or on Reddit. With that being said, ciao zusammen, habt eine schöne Zeit, habt euch Sorge und macht's gut.